SBR Forum Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. This is Into the Weekend with BetDSI, the call we do every week with Brent, the headlines manager at DSI Sportsbook. Right now we're looking ahead to NFL Week 15. Of course, no college football this weekend. Brent, thanks for being back with us.
Good to be with you, Peter.
All right, let's get right into it. The first thing I want to ask you about is, KC Oakland. Right now that line's moved up a bit to a 4.5, and KC's got to be a huge public play, right? I mean, and on the other side, are the sharps on Oakland? I would guess a little bit, yes.
No, I've got absolutely nothing back on Oakland.
Okay.
I got some not money that I'm going to say is super sharp, but I got some decent sharp money on Kansas City at 3.5. We're sitting at 4.5 now. Our count is it's over 10-1 on Kansas City right now, right. And the money's way up there too. They throw in the teasers, and it's just disgusting how badly we need Oakland to show up big time on this one. But so far, it's been all Kansas City money. Some of it kind of sharp. Absolutely nothing back on Oakland.
So let me ask you this then. If the action is so overwhelmingly on KC, why hasn't the number moved a little bit more? I mean, it moved from like 3.5 to 4.5, but it's still not even on like 5 or 6.
Yeah, no, basically the issue is we still have time. You know,
okay.
I mean, the number is what it is right now, but we did move from 3.5. It went to 4, sitting at 4.5. So it's all baby steps, right? I mean, you don't jump from 3.5 all the way to 4.5. You don't go from 4.5 to 6. So we're at 4.5 right now. And like I said, unless something comes back on Oakland, that number is going to climb up. And there might be a point where the sharps don't even get involved at all. I mean, sometimes there's just a game that they're not going to like. I mean, sure, if Kansas City ends up being 7, you might get there. But do we want to go from 3.5 to 7? I don't think so.
All right, and then another game that's, again, got to be a huge public side, especially in teasers, is Seattle at the Giants.
Yeah, it's not as bad as Kansas City, which is between 12 and 15-1, but Seattle's close to almost 10-1 in favor of Seattle. And we took a lot of money at 6.5 with them. They've been teased and everything, though, right now. Again, not a whole lot of significant volume back on the Giants at all. The big volume we got on Seattle was 6.5. Add the teasers in there, and this is another one where it's quite a big decision for us. They're also betting the over quite a bit too, over 41, 41.5. We're sitting at 42 right now. So again, we were 6.5 on Seattle. Now we're at 7. We're at 41 with the total. Now we're at 42. So eventually we get up there. Right,
and have the sharps come in on this one at all?
No. Yeah, I mean, the sharps are not as active as, I guess as the season goes on. They're not as active as they played earlier in the season right now. But of course, the public guys are all still running away with teams like Kansas City, as we touched on, and Seattle, of course.
All right, so with a game like that, suffice to say, if the Giants win outright, that's going to be a huge, huge winner for you. If Seattle covers a spread and all their teaser sides cash, how bad is it?
Well, again, like we talk about the teasers, you've got to win a couple pieces to get there. Right. I mean, yeah, it wouldn't be good for us, but again, you just need to break up a few of them, and you need to win. If the straight bets go through, if we win more than we lose, we can do all right. So it's not like a situation where if Kansas City wins and covers and Seattle wins and covers, that ruins our whole week, because we got a whole lot of games to make it back with. And I mean, we started pretty well with our game last night on Thursday with San Diego covering. That was obviously really good for the house.
Right. All right, and then one thing I've been loving to ask you about all year long is big public overs, and I'm seeing another one that's got to be a big public over, Philly, Minnesota. The Philly game last week, despite the horrible weather conditions, still wound up going over the closing line, and Minnesota's been an overtrender all year, so I'm assuming that the public's betting the over in that one.
Yeah, that Philadelphia game was hilarious. I mean, halftime was, I think it was 8-0 or something like that. And I had guys here who were like, we especially on Sunday, you saw that total get hammered by sharp guys over and over. And we were sitting there watching the TV, seeing the weather and the snow come down. It was like, what do these guys know that we don't know?
Wait, so you're telling me that in that Philly-Detroit game last week, that late, close to kickoff, the sharps were pounding the over?
We're betting the over, yeah. 51, 51.5, 52, and we were just, like I said, we were watching the pregame show and seeing it all come down. It was like it was just one of those things where you scratch your head and say, I don't get it. I mean, there is the theory that the offense actually has the advantage because they know where they're going, so it's easier to move when you know where you're going as opposed to being able to have it to react quickly. So I don't know if that factored into it at all, or just the fact that Detroit wouldn't be able to handle playing out in the cold weather. Who knows? But they were on the over. Halftime looked like they were wrong, and of course in the end they were right.
Amazing. Those were like real sharps, like the big boys, right?
These are names that you would recognize, Peter.
Wow. Betting the over in that game close to kickoff. Well, that's impressive. That's why they are the big boys.
So, I mean, the total dropped, and then it started going back up. And at halftime, it was like, wow, why did these guys bet it? And then, of course, in the end, we found out why. This Philadelphia-Minnesota game, I don't know if it's just the fact that people don't have a ton of confidence in the Minnesota offense and they respect their defense, but I haven't seen as much money as I would expect on the total. Yeah, I do have probably about 3-1 on the over, but this is a type of total that there should be a whole lot more the way Philadelphia scores points. And again, Minnesota, again, maybe the injuries holding people back. Maybe it's that they've got a scrappy defense. Could be, but this number, yeah, it kind of screamed out as one that should have been a runaway over, but it hasn't really so far. The count, like I said, it's about 3-1 over, even including the teasers and all that kind of stuff. And in the end, the money's only about 2-1 favoring the over.
All right, now let's just take a look at the rest of the card. What can you tell us about sharp and/or public action notable from the rest of the card?
Well, Indianapolis is interesting. That game, I'll just touch on off the start because the first half I've got sharp people betting Indianapolis -3. We're up to -315 right now. But on the game, we actually took sharp money on Houston +6.5, and the current game line is Indianapolis -5. So that's kind of a strange one there. We're pretty much balanced on the game, but the count's probably about 2-1 in favor of Indianapolis. So Indianapolis definitely has more of the public with them, where the sharps are taking Houston. Again, it was all about the number at 6.5 though.
Yeah.
Washington at Atlanta, of course. Washington, there's a lot going on with RG3. Cousins is going to start this week, and people are talking about how Shanahan's trying to find a way out of town. And we took sharp money on Atlanta early, -6.5. We're at 7 right now, and we've got decent money back on Washington in terms of the count. But that's mostly public money, not a whole lot of sharp money involved in this game, other than Atlanta minus the 6.5. Our money's about 2-1, whereas our count is even. So when the money's 2-1 and the count's even, with sharp money pushing Atlanta there. Also took sharp money on the under. Now they played the under 51. We're now sitting at 49.5. So again, that was the numbers kind of shot there. But under 51 in Atlanta, Washington was a sharp play. Seattle, we touched on that one already. New England, Miami, surprisingly, I got sharp money on Miami +2. Our money's pretty much even right now, but the count is 2, almost 3-1 in favor of New England. Of course, public's always backing New England. You don't get a whole lot of public guys loving Miami at any point, but the sharps are on Miami, so that's good for us. And Pittsburgh was another sharp play at 3. Now, with 3 -25, they took Pittsburgh. They're at home to Cincinnati. That's the late game. Getting a lot of money on Cincinnati now, -2. So that line will probably creep up to 2.5. Maybe the buy to 3 will be available again. And then looking over to Monday night, Baltimore is at Detroit. Detroit's -5.5 right now. Sharps came in on Baltimore +6. And they also took the over 47, the Sharps did. We're at 48 right now.
Okay, interesting information. As always, Brent from BetDSI, a lot of that information, is in line with some of the videos that we did earlier in the week. Thanks so much, Brent. Talk to you again next week.